Hi, good morning. I'm Alister, Benn, and welcome to Expressive Photography. In this video, I want to share my first impressions of my new camera, the Fujifilm GFX100s. I've been spending a couple of hours with it here this morning, just very close to home. I woke up nice and early and came up onto the hill, and I'm going to share my first images with you, my first impressions with you, and talk about the things that I'm having to discover about this system, and literally my first impressions. One of the first things to really appreciate with this is that it's not a Nikon. This is a medium format system as opposed to a full frame DSLR system, which is 35 millimeters. So it is a much bigger sensor, and it is also 102 megapixels. So there's a couple of real fundamental differences between a medium format system and a 35mm system, and one is the fact that you lose focal length at the long end. This is the 100 to 200 f4 lens, and I'm noticing that as I am looking around the landscape, things that perhaps I might have pointed my 80 to 400 at, I can't get that tight with this lens. However, it is allowing me to be a little bit more expansive in my approach, and that's the first creative difference I'm really noticing, is that sense of expansiveness, that slightly more sense of openness. The second thing that was a real massive appeal to me with this system was the various aspect ratios. In previous videos, you've heard me talking about aspect ratios and the importance that I feel of composing something in the camera that makes you feel excited about what you're showing. And quite often, particularly this morning when there's a lot of light around, there's a lot of luminosity bouncing off the grasses here in the foreground, there's a lot of horizontal lines, as you can see in the background there, the transition between the grassland and the forest. So what this is allowing me to do is to shoot this new 65 by 24 aspect ratio and just steal slices of the landscape out of the bigger picture, which I'm super excited about. The third thing that I'm super enjoying are the film simulations. We all loved Velvia when it was our film of choice back in the 70s and 80s. This has Velvia built into it, and photographing some of these trees that are backlit or side lit with a 65 by 24 aspect ratio and a Velvia simulation, what photographer wouldn't get excited by that? This one does. So one of the first questions that I'm getting from people that I know is, well, why am I switching from Nikon at all? And these D850s have been the workhorse of my shooting and my business really since they came out at the back end of 2017. So I've been using this camera hard for 6 years now. I actually have two that I've been using. Both of them are beginning to fail. I've used them by the ocean an awful lot, I've used them in the Gobi Desert an awful lot, and they are just beginning to suffer. Some of the buttons don't work anymore. And really I was just getting to that point where I knew at some point I was going to have to change my system, or at least change a body. Now, running a lot of workshops, I see all the cameras that are coming through at the moment, the Sonys and the new Nikon mirrorless and the Canon mirrorless. And I know that Nikon are not going to continue with making digital SLRs. They're going to focus on the mirrorless business. So I kind of realized that I was going to have to go mirrorless at some point. Now, obviously, my buddy Adam Gibbs and I have been spending quite a lot of time with each other over the last year, running workshops together and seeing each other quite a lot. And I have been really impressed with his GFX100s. And at the end of the day, the thing that I really like about this is it kind of just feels like a big DSLR, you know, the big battery grip and the feel of the thing, with an even wider barrel. You know, the lenses have a native 82mm, whereas a lot of my old Nikon lenses are 77mm. So there's a little bit of extra weight or width here. So really my primary reason for shifting was a failing Nikon DSLR system, the need of probably definitely going into mirrorless, and just gear envy of Adam's. I heard a lot of comments when I was thinking of changing into this about the extra weight of having a big medium format mirrorless system. So before we get into the features that I particularly like about the new system, let's have a look at the old system and the new one side by side. So here are the two systems side by side. On the left hand side was my old Nikon system and the case armor system that I used for quite a while now. And on the right hand side is the new GFX100s, a couple of lenses, and the new lighter case revolution filters, which I'm now using. In terms of the total weight there, the two comparisons right side by side there, on the left comes to 5.214 kilograms, and on the right hand side, the new GFX comes to 4.546. If we take away the difference of the filters, which are significantly lighter now, the GFX system is 7 grams heavier. So not a major change there, but obviously there is a big saving in the filter weight. One of the things I particularly enjoyed when I went out on Friday morning there was that feeling of being a complete noob again. It's a long time since I've had a new system, let alone a new camera, and I just loved that fact of being out with something that I didn't know where anything was. I hadn't had time to read the manual. The camera arrived late on the Thursday evening and I was out at 7 o'clock on the Friday morning. So there was a whole bunch of buttons and features that I just had no idea. So I had to spend a bit of time in the field working out how to program buttons and get the display the way I wanted it to be, and understanding all of the different features. So that feeling of fumbling around, I kind of enjoyed that, because the old Nikon D850, it was just like a part of my body. I know where everything was. So there was a real sense of freshness to it that I found really exciting. One of the things I particularly like is getting that preview on the back of the camera, seeing those film simulations with a big X-Pan pano format or whatever aspect ratio I choose. I think that feedback that we get on the back of the camera is one of the great strengths of digital photography, as I mentioned in a video a week or so ago on the YouTube channel here. When we get into Lightroom, I've instantly got this beautiful X-Pan panoramic image with a Velvia simulation, and it just looks amazing. It just looks absolutely perfect. And I can throw that onto social media or into other places that I want to show images quickly without any processing at all. If we compare that to the same RAW file, this is what we get. So this would be what, as soon as you go into the develop module and all of those lovely presets are taken away, this would be the image that I do see. One of the fundamental differences between the Nikon and the GFX100s is that with the old Nikon, when I cropped in camera, that was it. The pixels were actually deleted. And, you know, I was okay with that, and it was something that I just got used to. It was a limitation of the tool. However, with the GFX100s, I now have the preview of the crop, but if I hit the crop tool, we can see all of this real estate that I've got on either side. This was particularly useful. This is a photograph I took yesterday, and this is a 16:9 crop, but I had actually cropped it as an X-Pan crop in camera. So I think that was more or less what I had cropped in the camera. So that's what came into Lightroom, but I decided that a little bit more expansiveness worked with this scene, and it was just very easy for me to recrop it and come up with a different version. So I think most cameras that have aspect ratios in them, whether it's the Sony or the Canon or the new Nikons, I think they also have this capacity where they're not throwing away the pixels. And I think ultimately that's the best of both worlds. I get the lovely preview on the back of the screen. I get these lovely JPEGs that look rich and vibrant and full of passion and energy. And I get the ability to go in and crop the raw file in new ways or to make different versions of it. Another primary difference between 35mm and a medium format system is that the medium format sensor being much bigger, the depth of field is less. An equivalent aperture on the GFX100s will give less depth of field than it would on a 35mm system. Taking this image as an example here, this is actually a focus stack of 5 images at 100mm in focal length, and I was able to make sure that I got everything really crisp and sharp right the way through the frame. The detail in this shot is utterly phenomenal, and in next week's video we're going to dive into some of these images and some more that I'll be making this week when I'm in the field to take a look at what we can do with these incredibly powerful and detail-rich raw files. So what are my first impressions? Well, in summary, I absolutely love it. It's like having a new toy, which any kid loves, and it feels like a really grown-up camera. It's got the weight and the heft of the old system that I used to use, but I do love the ergonomics. I love the kind of slightly more squared off, slightly more traditional feel to the camera. I am only yet scratching the surface of its features. I haven't had time to read the manual, but my first impressions are I really love it. I love how it feels in the field. I love the way the screen moves around. I love the ability to have film simulations and these wonderful aspect ratios that give me these rich, beautiful files to look at on the back of the camera, which just enthuses me at the time. So I really, really love that. One thing for sure is that we do lose some of that focal length at the long end. I used to make a lot of images between 200 to 400mm with my old Nikon system, and I'm going to lose that. We also lose a certain amount of fast autofocus and that type of thing, so I won't be using it for bird photography or sports, but I don't really do that anyway. For my primary need as a landscape photographer with some architecture, I think it's going to be an incredible system to use. So first impressions are, I love it. Before we close off this video, I just want to give you an update on my book, Out of Darkness. It is here. We have finally received all of the books from the printer in Italy. As you can see, they're shrink wrapped. Because we want to make sure the books get to you in perfect condition. So there's going to be a little signature card that I'm signing and dedicating to those who have bought deluxe versions, and signing the ones for those of you who bought standard editions. And that way the book is going to get to you in the best possible condition. I'd like to thank everyone who's already pre-ordered their copy. I know that we started the pre-sale many months ago. It was back in September. So I appreciate everyone who's supported the project so far and your patience in particular. It's been a long time coming. Ann Kristin and I are going to be packing and distributing these ourselves, and it's going to take some time because there are hundreds of them to be shipped around the world. So please continue to be patient, but just so you know, we are going to be starting to ship them next week. We have not yet quite worked out exactly how many we're going to be able to ship a week, because we've got to pack each one individually, signing prints and so forth for some of the other editions. The collector's edition will not be until later in the spring, possibly May. We're still working on the bespoke case for that edition. If you would like a copy of this book, there's a link in the description of this video. This is the deluxe edition, which comes with this rather splendid red slipcase and a choice of prints, 3 prints that you can choose from. So
again, thank you everyone who has supported this project. The condition, the print of the book has been superb. I couldn't be more happy with the quality of the product. So if you really are a collector of books or you love photo books, then please consider supporting us. We do have quite a lot still to sell, so any support is massively appreciated. Thank you very much for watching this. We are going to be using the GFX100s in all future videos, as I will be using the new Case Revolution filter system that I've got. You're going to be seeing those in most of the outside videos that I'm going to be making over the next coming weeks and months. We will be doing some gear reviews coming up. They will probably start turning up on a Wednesday, and we'll be getting back to more sort of processing, expressive photography topics on the weekend. So yeah, you can look forward to more content. Make sure you subscribe, give us a thumbs up, dive into the comments, tell me I'm an idiot for buying a GFX and I should tell me what I should have bought. But at the end of the day, I'm delighted with my choice and can't wait to shoot more with it. So thank you very much for watching. Take care wherever you are, and bye for now.